Hey everybody, welcome to chapter 11. Now, we just went over a chapter 13, which wasn't actually in the book. It was just word problem reviews from what you did in a previous class of chapter 5. I'm glad we did that though, because we had some weaknesses with our word problems that hopefully we got fixed up. Now we're going to move into chapter 11. It's all about rational expressions. We are not going to complete all of chapter 11 because a lot of chapter 11 is actually algebra 2. We are only going to focus on this part of chapter 11. Chapter 11 talks about simplifying and reducing a rational algebraic expression. Now, the book would have me do all of this in one day. We're going to have 3 days to go over this. I really want you to know today we're only going to be dealing with monomials, okay? So, what in the world is that fancy phrase? What is a rational expression? A rational expression is just a fraction that has variables. Today only, today, I'm going to make sure you know it's just today. Today you don't have to factor them, okay? We'll move into that tomorrow and the next day. Today you do not have to factor them. Today you only have to reduce them. And that is because today we have monomials, which means no adding or subtracting, okay? I have a meeting at 12:30, but I don't think this lesson will take me that long. When you look at number 1, it's really important that you look at the numbers with the numbers and then the variables with the variables, okay? So here's what I'm going to do for the first couple of problems. I'm going to rewrite them like this. Here's just the negative sign. That's all that is. Maybe it's too big. Maybe that's a weird looking sign. There's your negative sign. 36 over 42 and x to the third over x squared. And eventually we won't write it like that, but today we will. I'm going to get my calculator. If you do every problem like this today, I'm hoping that it goes really well for you. Okay. So what is 36 over 42? Math, enter, enter. Well, that reduces to 6 over 7. And this x and this x cancel with this x and this x. And we're just left with a single x on the top and this negative. So your final answer is negative 6 over 7, or negative 6x over 7. Okay, if you didn't like writing it like that, you could really write it as negative 6 over 7x like that. So I'll just write or. Let's go on and do the same thing in number 2. Okay, I'm going to draw a fraction for my coefficients and a fraction for the variables. Here's 16 and here's 28. Here's p squared and here's p. 16 over 28 in my calculator makes 4 over 7. This one of these p's cancels with that one. So your final answer is just 4p. If you're having trouble finding it, that's where it came from, over 7. Now you could write it as 4 over 7 with a p like that. I'm not really sure which way the keystones will present it. Now let's do the same thing in number 3. Here's your negative sign. Here's your 70 and your 28. Here's your n squared, and here's your n. 70 over 28, math, enter, enter, will look like 5 over 2, negative sign. This n cancels with this n, and we're left with a single one on the top. So negative 5n over 2 or negative 5 over 2n. Let's look at number 4. Here's your negative sign. Here's your 10 and your 15. Here's your A3 and your single A. Here's your B and your B3. So notice I did a fraction for the B's. I did a fraction for the A's. And I did a fraction for the coefficients. That looks like the same color. My bad. Okay? So I color coded them so you can see why I had 3 fractions. Well, 10 over 15 is negative 2/3. One of these a's cancels with that one, and you're left with a squared when you put those back together. One of these b's cancels with one of these ones, and you're left with b squared in the bottom when you put those ones back together. So please notice that the 10 over 15 became 2/3. Please notice that the a's reduced to be a squared on the top, and the b's reduced, what color did I use? To be the b squared on the bottom. That is your final answer. We're going to leave that one as one big fraction. Okay, let's try this again. I'm going to draw a fraction for my 36 and my 24. No negative on this one. a fraction for my K3 and my K4. Okay, so I'm just, I'm just draw like this. There's one fraction, there's two fractions, there's three fractions. There's a fraction for the numbers, a fraction for the K's, a fraction for the M's, and a fraction for the N's. Okay? So 36 over 24 is 3 over 2. 3 of these K's and 3 of these K's leaves 1 on the bottom. See that 1 on the bottom right there? This M and this M are just totally gone. And those N's join up to just stay n to the 5th. So there was nothing to do. There's no other N's on the top, so it just stays in the bottom. All right, let's look at number 6. Here's your negative sign. Here's your 16 and your 12. Here's your X and your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the bottom. Here's your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 on the top, 3 on the bottom. That didn't look like a Y. Okay, so there's your first fraction, right? Here's where I got the second fraction from. Here's where I got the third fraction from. And then that little z, if you don't mind, I'll just write it like that. It's going to stay put. So, I mean, it's going to be, it doesn't have any up here to cancel with it. Okay, so 16 over 12 reduced is 4 over 3. Now remember, I'm not using my calculator for my benefit. I know 16 over 12 is 4/3. However, there are probably students who are not able to do that, so I'm showing you how to use your calculator. This x and this x, that's 2, cancel with 2 down here. So how many do I have left? Boom, boom, boom. X to the third, and they were all in the denominator when I canceled. Okay, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, leaves me with 4, and they're all on the top. And then z to the fourth never changed, so it stays on the bottom. So my answer is negative 4y to the fourth over 3 x to the third z to the fourth. If you do every problem like that, I don't think there's going to be an issue. All right, now here's a review. We have to be able to do these on the keystones. Notice I don't have a word problem with this one. We'll build up to that someday. All right, this is set up for elimination. The reason it's set up for elimination is because the x's are over the x's, the y's are over the y's, and the constants are over the constants, and the equal bar lines up. I have seen in the past where students just try to add straight away right now. Please don't do that. Okay, you can simply take the number that's down here and put it up here. Take the number that's up here and put it down here. And out of the 4 numbers that I'm highlighting, just make sure you have 1 negative and 3 positives, or 3 negatives and 1 positive. So I can make that a -8 or a -2. Eeny, meeny, miny, moe, catch a tiger, I so if a house, I'm going to eeny, meeny, miny, moe. Okay, and landed at -2. Now you will distribute in a positive 8. 16x minus 24y equals 80. You did this in previous classes. Negative 16x plus 20y equals negative 68. I don't know why I had so much trouble with that. Now you can do what I said sometimes kids try to do too soon. Adding here cancels your x's. Adding here gives you negative 4y equals, and adding here gives you positive 12. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom up and just look at that. From here on out, we solve. So divide by -4. Y is -3. You're halfway there. You got your y value. Now what we're going to do is plug that -3 into anything. Or in anything from the original. So how about we just put it into 8x minus 10y equals -34. It legit doesn't matter. I plugged it into that one. Fence. And what did we just get? I can't remember. -3. So 8x minus 10 times -3 is -34. 8x, these make positive 30 when you multiply. Negative times a negative and 10 times 3. Subtract 30. There, just to show you the steps that we're doing. clean them up a little bit. 8x cancels equals negative 64 divided by 8. X equals negative 8 when you divide. So my answer is negative 8 for X and negative 3 for Y. You'll definitely have some of those on the keystones. If you remember that process, you're golden. It might be a word problem that you have to set up though. And in that case, we'll get there. We'll set them up. We'll practice a couple of word problems. Just like reference this right here. You might be, I know it sounds like I'm lying about all these dumb word problems, but I'm not. See how it says eligible content may be assessed using word problem or problem solving situations. All that's saying is like, hey, I might assess you on how to do this with word problems. That's all that means. So we have to be prepared to apply our knowledge to word problems. All right, guys. Hopefully today's lesson went well and the review problem also went well for you.